So here have had some beef cheeks in the oven there. They've been braising for about 2 hours. So I'm just going to check them out.
I am in the kitchen with Clement Pavie, Customer and Innovation Manager at Musgrave MarketPlace.
So here we have the beef cheeks just covered, so I need to open it. As you can see, loads of liquid. So I've mixed red wine and white wines, and we've got some thyme, we've got some bay leaves, carrots, mushrooms, onions, celery.
We're in a professional kitchen surrounded by high-spec cooking equipment. Yet we're also surrounded by customers pushing trolleys full of products. That's because we are in the Musgrave Food Theatre, located in Musgrave MarketPlace in Ballymun, County Dublin. This is a fully kitted out professional kitchen space where product tasting, training and customer experiences take place. And it's a space in which Clement loves to work.
It's a great experience. So for myself, it's great because it's like being in a candy shop every day, so, for chefs. And also you're very close to the products every day. And then as well, to see customers coming in and to talk to customers, they're not afraid of coming into the kitchen and asking me for help or tips or something new. There is obviously some regulars. They will come into the kitchen asking me, that's a new product, have you tasted it, what do you think of it? Or like last week I had a cafe asking me for a different type of sauce for their chicken wings, things like that.
Musgrave plays a major role in the food industry in Ireland. Through its 15 market-leading brands, Musgrave feeds 1 in every 3 people on the island of Ireland and works with over 1,000 suppliers across Ireland and internationally to bring high-quality produce to the shelves of retailers and the plates of restaurants, bars, cafes and other businesses all over the country. And in this episode of the podcast, we meet some of the people who are ensuring that this produce is expertly sourced, safe and of the highest standards, and that it is on trend to meet the needs and expectations of an ever-evolving and knowledgeable customer base. Welcome to Growing Good Business, a podcast series by Musgrave. My name is Patrick Haughey, and in this series we go behind the scenes of this iconic 147-year-old family business which supports over 41,000 jobs and plays such a central role in the retail, wholesale and food service industries on the island of Ireland. In Musgrave, food matters, and on this episode we will hear how the importance of food quality, provenance, safety and innovation is put into practice every day. We'll spend a bit more time with Clement Pavie in the Food Theatre and find out more about his impressive career in the industry and his passion for food and innovation. We'll also meet Ray Bowe, Musgrave's Director of Food Safety and Quality. Ray's job is to ensure that all produce sourced and sold is of the highest quality and safety standards, and he works with an impressive team of people.
We believe we've got the biggest team in the company. We have over 40,000 colleagues who are involved in food safety and quality. It's just that many of them don't have food safety or quality in their title.
If you've been enjoying this podcast series so far, please do follow or subscribe to the series on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and do leave a rating or review. Now, when it comes to food, there is a very clear and important supply chain at work, which starts on the farms and orchards where our food is reared and grown. As Director of Food Safety and Quality, Ray Bowe is involved right from these early stages of the process, and he explained to me how it all works.
So we've been lots of places around the world to see where our products are coming from. So we've seen our oranges and avocados in South Africa, and we would have been the first Irish retailer that they would have met, actually, going back to farm level. And suddenly they realised, and we would show them, this is what Musgrave is about, this is SuperValu and Centra, and this is where your product goes. So it puts Musgrave on the map at a grower level. We've been to Portugal, Spain to see where our fruit's coming from there, the Holland to be another source, but not forgetting our Irish sources, because that's a really, really important one to us as well. So, for example, at Halloween, we spend a lot of time making sure the pumpkins are right, and in fact we start that Halloween campaign in July and make sure that the growers are doing it the right way. We're advising them, we're getting experts in to help us with that. So back to the store, the other big area to us is fresh meat. And SuperValu is synonymous with high quality fresh meat. So similarly, we spend a lot of time ensuring that quality is right, not just at the shelf, but also at the factory level. And that the animals that are selected for us are of the right quality, and the products arising from that are good quality as well. In fact, one thing we've done in the last number of years is I've talked about different experts that we would use. We use Professor Temple Grandin, who is an expert in animal welfare. She's based in Colorado, and we made contact with her based on the fact that she is an expert in that field. So we reached out to her. She agreed to come. It was about a year in the planning. And we brought her around Ireland, and we got really great feedback from her as well. And one of our own team, actually, Ruth Dalton, she's qualified as an assessor for animal welfare as well. So after that visit, we said, we need to develop that expertise. So Ruth has a diploma in that now as well. So we feel we've got some good knowledge internally.
There's a perception that the relationship that a retailer like Musgrave would have with suppliers is it's buying and it's negotiating on cost, and it kind of ends there. But from what you're saying, the relationship goes a lot deeper, and it can be very mutually beneficial.
Yeah, it does. And we're right alongside that commercial discussion. So there's a number of checkpoints along the way that they don't get to the negotiating table until we're satisfied that they are qualified to do so. And not just that, but also in a strong position to add further business in the future as well. So we put on that quality and food safety hat when we're having those discussions. We're mindful of the commercials as well, but they won't sway us completely if we see issues that we're worried about. So I think it's a broader discussion around suppliers that we're glad to be part of as well.
So once suppliers have passed all checks and balances and the produce is purchased, much of the produce makes its way to Musgrave's retail partners like SuperValu and Centra. Ray describes what happens then from a quality and a safety perspective.
So if I take the food flow, it's going to come in through the back door, as we call it, or the goods in area, probably a better term to use, and it's going to be checked on arrival. So, for example, fruit and veg will be looked at by the in-store team who will take in the product, and then subsequently it'll be stored in backup storage areas, or it might go straight to shelf. If it goes straight to shelf, in particular fruit and veg, that's going to get a lot of attention. So that's almost going to be inspected crate by crate as it's put out on shelf or put out loose. And
what are you looking for?
So what the person in store is looking for is it the right quality? Is it fresh enough? Are the dates correct? Will I sell it, more importantly? And is a consumer going to be attracted by it? Because fruit and veg is an area that's very symbolic with any store. It's usually at the front of the store. It's the signature for what you can expect in the rest of the store. And typically, if any competitor of ours, or even our stores, has a poor display of fruit and veg, it sets the tone for the rest of the shop. So that's really important. So that's an area we spend a lot of time in, going back to our suppliers, ensuring that the product that came into the store today was inspected by us before it got to the store, because it's come through our warehouse. There's another very important role in the store called a food safety champion, and their role is to ensure the food safety systems that are operating in the store are operating correctly all the time. So the temperature of fridges, the hygiene standards, the training that the staff have is all up to date. And Musgrave comes into the fore again here because we actually have independent inspections of the store twice a year as well. Yeah. And that's unannounced. So the food safety champion and the owner and the managers have no idea when the auditor is going to come. Probably in the last 3 years, we've done close to 5,000 of those audits. And what that does is keep standards to a level that are really high. That information is captured by the auditors via tablets as well. And it's continuously updated. So we can see what the trend is for areas that need improvement across the whole network on a continuous basis. So what we do with that information is we might find that, okay, maybe training in the area of the deli needs to improve, because we've seen that popping up in a few stores. We'll then tailor our training to ensure we're picking that up later in the year, to ensure that where we've identified a gap in some point of the system, that we now respond to that. So we have thousands of bits of information that we can use to help us tailor training, also to make sure we're actually having an effect. So if we've done that training, okay, let's come back to it in 6 months' time. Has that issue been resolved or not? And usually it is. So that's an example for how we've used technology as well. It wasn't a tablet-based process before, and we designed and selected this vendor for the fact that they could handle the data for us. and give us that additional push. The other thing we're doing at the moment, which is a future perspective, is, because I've talked about data quite a lot, we're integrating all that data together in a way that we can make even better, faster decisions around what's happening right through the supply chain, whether it's at retail, at suppliers, or in our depots. Because we do depend on data. It's not about gut feel. It's really data, whether it's good or bad. And we're looking to ensure we can integrate it together, as I said, to make better decisions. There's a comfort factor now as well in that the store standards have been raised. We're actually seeing that improve year on year. And as a consequence of that, we feel the food is safe continuously for consumers as well. So if I pull all that together, what we're interested in store is ensuring that it's the best, safest, high-quality experience a consumer can have. But the journey doesn't stop at the back door of the store. There's a lot of things that have happened back the supply chain to make that happen as well.
Another very important part of Ray's role is to keep Musgrave's customers safe from an issue called food fraud, and he'll explain what that's all about a little later in this episode. But now we are going to travel back to Musgrave MarketPlace in Ballymun, County Dublin, where Clement Pavie runs the Musgrave Food Theatre. Clement describes his background in the food industry and how he ended up working as Musgrave's Customer and Innovation Manager.
I'm from Toulouse, which is the southwest of France, southwest region of France. That's where I grew up. I went to the Toulouse catering school. I finished my catering school in Paris, in l'école Ferrandi, which is École Supérieure de la Cuisine Française. It's one of the best schools. And very proud of that. Food is in the French culture. Food, wine and cheese was definitely in my parents' culture. So always grew up with food and be interested into food and really enjoying having good food, but knowing as well where it comes from. My great-grandmother was actually a chef. That was very interesting. She actually did l'école du cordon bleu in Paris in the early 1900s. And my very fun fact, actually, my mother found a book that my grandmother or my great-grandmother was writing. So she had a recipe book, a menu book. She was a chef for a family, a banker's family. And anyway, so that was very interesting because some of the menus you're talking about, 7-course menu every day.
Wow.
so they were eating a lot. I started into a small steakhouse restaurant, le restaurant des abattoirs chez Carmen. It was an institution in Toulouse. I was very, very lucky because the head chef there was someone very, very respectful. Sorry. So I got into the industry the right way.
And what brought you to Ireland then? You were here 25 years?
I'm here 25 years. I rang a friend who I thought was in London, and he told me, I'm not in London anymore, I'm in Dublin. I said, okay, is there any work in Dublin? He said, yeah, come over. And he picked me up in the airport at 5 o'clock on the 28th of July 1998. And he said, you have an appointment or an interview in a restaurant in Dublin at 6:30. So he brought me to the interview, and it was actually restaurant Patrick Gibbos.
An institution.
An institution. 2 Michelin star restaurants. I'm happy to say that was the best experience of my life. I learned a lot. Head chef Guillaume Lebrun was fantastic and taught me really how to respect the product and how to use the product from start to finish. And it was about no waste. It was also about the best cost, so just, and respect the product. If you're using a product, just make sure that there has been a lot of work into that to bring that product to you. So make sure you use it all. Like, as I said, it was the best experience of my life, and it definitely opened a lot of doors to me. Yeah.
And one of those doors that it opened was the doors of the Park Hotel in Kenmare?
Yes.
And was that because that's in a very different part of Ireland, different customer base? Was it a very different experience for you in terms of what else you could learn?
Yeah. So where in Gibbos I definitely learned more about cooking and cooking skills. The Park Hotel was more about managing, and I've always said that about John Brennan taught me how to say yes. Where, very often young chefs, the first reaction when someone is asking you for something that wasn't on the menu or would be like, no. And then you have to do it anyway. Where John Brennan just taught me how to say yes. And I found that when you say yes, half of the job is already done. Yeah. So it's I'm very very grateful for that. So when I joined Musgrave, I had worked in fine dining restaurants for many years. I had worked in palaces. I had worked for what we call workplace or catering restaurants or catering businesses. I had my own business. So there was a lot of I had a lot of experience in different ways. So I felt, and I still feel, that I had a good understanding of what the food service business overall is about. And that's what you need. So at the time, Musgrave had acquired a company called Variety Food. And Musgrave was quite good at catering ambient, so all the dry goods, spices and bouillons and all those things, but they didn't know much about chill and frozen food. So they brought me over to educate the sales force about what's the difference between a Parma ham and a Serrano ham, for example. Why would a chef use one or not the other, and vice versa. So that's what I came for. I came to Musgrave as a product trainer. It was extremely interesting. I thought I knew a good bit about food, but suddenly, because I had to do training and I had to create a training manual about product knowledge, I learned so much more. I learned about the provenance of food so much more. I learned about Irish food. I learned about producers. I learned a lot. So that was very, very interesting. And I was lucky enough that there was a role at the time in Robin Hood Marketplace, which was just being redesigned. So that was in 2009, 2010. And from then, I just got my role, which is now Customer Innovation Manager, kind of developed, and that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. So the first thing is about the customers. Okay, so understanding the customers, understanding the trends, understanding the products, and to link all those together. And then the innovation is about bringing new products, or bringing also new ways of working with the existing products for the customers. So I'm kind of the link between the supply and the customer. What I really enjoyed about the day is actually meeting with customers. Like there is a few customers that would come down the kitchen and the food theatre maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and I would have that relationship with them where I would have been in talks all year round. But then they ring me and say, Clem, we're going to redevelop the menu. We're looking at doing something around tapas. We're looking at doing something around sandwiches. What do you have for me? That's where the creativity kicks, and I'm delighted to be able to share that with someone I know, someone whose skills I know. So I know I understand exactly, or I feel anyway, that I understand exactly what he's looking for, and I guess it's allow me to shine a little bit, but also sharing with the customers. And when he comes out of there saying, okay, he won't take everything, but he say, okay, I've seen this, that new type of bread is really, really good. That quality of beef is excellent. And he's taking that on board. That's definitely something that's where I enjoy it the most.
Now, on the day that Clement and I recorded this conversation, he was preparing for an event that was taking place in the Food Theatre the following day. A group of clients from the food service industry were coming to visit, and he explained what was going to be happening.
So it's mostly around beef. So it's for steakhouse and restaurant menus. And it's mostly around beef, so we're going to have ribeyes, we're going to have strip loins, we're going to have fillet of beef, there is a beautiful côte de bœuf as well, and then as well the beef cheek and the feather blades. We've got some thick skirt and some bavette steaks, so just showing them new cuts of beef that they might not have used before, but also it's also to reassure them about the quality of our beef. So it's for them to taste firsthand, what is the quality of our beef like. And we have different brands of beef. We've got a Simply Meat beef, which is about value beef and about slow cooking and roasting, and for the chef to bring up their skills into it. So, for example, the beef cheeks and the short ribs, that would be under Simply Meat. Then we've got our Butcher Select range, which would be about quality beef, so strip loins, so all about our steaks. And then also we've got our prime beef, which would be Angus and Hereford. So it's for them to see the different type of beef and to get an understanding of what our meat is about. Yeah. Irish beef is the best beef you would find in the world almost. I'm sure there is some people that love the Japanese Wagyu beef and all those things, but when it comes to Irish beef, I think it's some of the best beef you would find in the world. And Ireland has done a really, really good job at being very, very proud, and you wouldn't find anything but Irish beef on the menu, and it's very, very important for our customers. So all our beef obviously is 100% Irish and Bowe approved. I think Irish dairy is just like, wow, when it comes to butter, cream, milk, the flavors. Coming from France, I didn't drink any milk growing up. Just didn't see the point of it because milk in France doesn't have much flavor. I remember I was working in Kerry at the time in the Park Hotel in Kenmare, and every time we had lunch, the big guys were coming with pints of milk, and I was like, what are they drinking pint of milk for? And then I tasted it, and I was like, okay, I get it. Yeah. The flavors, absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So Irish milk, Irish dairy, Irish cheese, Millings, Gubbins, all those, they're absolutely fantastic. Yeah. I came to Ireland 25 years ago, and I've seen the evolution. And the evolution in even the pride Irish people and Irish producers and Irish food has become over the last 25 years. I think Ireland has become a food nation, and definitely somewhere you want to go for discovering food and for having good food.
Both Clement and Ray have outlined the leadership role that Musgrave plays in relation to food. But there is one significant challenge that threatens to undermine the integrity of our produce. Food fraud is a multi-billion-dollar criminal activity, and protecting Musgrave, its customers and its retail partners from this issue is something that forms a key part of Ray Bowe's role.
So food fraud is essentially when you're buying something that it says what it says in the tin is not what it is. Effectively, right? And some of the research would say that it's worth about 15 billion euros or dollars per year in global trade. So about 10% of what's traded in food globally is affected by food fraud in some way. So what it means is that there's a number of categories of product that are affected by fraud, potentially. Now, those of us who were around 10 years ago would know that the horse meat crisis happened, and that was where horse meat protein was found in a number of consumer products that were labelled as beef only. And from that point forward, I think food fraud came to the forefront. So we've identified probably about 12 or 14 product categories that are at risk of food fraud. And what I mean by that is either the substitution done in the supply chain. And for example, if you're buying honey of a certain type like Manuka, there's tests to prove that it is Manuka honey coming from that plant especially, and there are unfortunately agents out there who will sell it as such, but it's actually not Manuka honey, and there's ways to disguise that.
And it's far more expensive.
It is far more expensive.
There must be a lot of money in that.
Yeah, there is. So the attractiveness of food fraud to agents like that is we can make more money by selling it as Manuka honey when actually it's not. Mm. And so there's an opportunity there, an economic opportunity. In other cases, there is it can happen way back the supply chain. So things like spices and herbs are produced in many cases in underdeveloped countries, and there's also the possibility to add another ingredient to those, to what we call extend them. Yeah. So you might start with 100 kilos of saffron, and you end up with 110 kilos of saffron, but now there's 10 kilos of something else in there. Mm. Now, the end user like us and the supplier to us mightn't be aware of that unless you test for it. So we have a whole program in place since horse meat that assesses all of those categories. We tell all of those suppliers that we are testing as well. So if you're tempted, don't tempt it with us either. And we were fortunate during horse meat that we didn't have any issues, actually.
Wow.
And but we didn't stop there. We decided we need to have a much more formal program. We worked with experts in Europe and experts in the US to develop our process there, and it's still there to this day.
What got you into this whole area of food safety in the first place?
I've done a food science degree a few years ago. Well, a long time ago in UCC, and so food science would have always been in my background, which included microbiology. I've been in manufacturing in the food industry for about 20 years. So again, food safety and quality would have been in my DNA. And then I joined Musgrave about 17 years ago. And what attracted me about the company and the role was that it allowed me to bring a whole lot of things together in one position. Which I've enjoyed, and it's always been interesting and stimulating. So for me, the combination of science and retail and people and processes in one area is something that I never get tired of, and it's always interesting.
When you're looking for someone to join your team, as you've described, and all of the things that team need to do, what kind of qualities are you looking for? What would be the right person for the kind of roles that you hire for?
I think first of all, having a passion for food is really important, and having an awareness of the complexities of what the food chain is about. So what I've described to you today is going all the way back from the primary producers right through to the consumer. So somebody who's really motivated to understand those differences and be able to work in those three areas indirectly or be aware of them is really important. Having a strong ability to know what's right and to stand your ground as well, know where the red lines are as well. That's really important.
Because sometimes you're going to come up against commercial pressure or that kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, what I use for us is that if I use the rugby analogy, is the business sometimes will have an issue which requires a scrum, but it also needs an out half. And so I kind of see us as the Johnny Sexton. We're certainly moving forward with the scrum, but we're not necessarily always bound into the scrum either, because we have to maintain that level of independence and governance while being part of the team as well. So I think somebody who recognises those differences is really important as well, and then walks the walk. Back to the culture. We believe we've got the biggest team in the company within the food safety and quality department, and what I mean by that is we have over 40,000 colleagues who are involved in food safety and quality. It's just that many of them don't have food safety or quality in their title, and what I mean by that is everything we do, everything everybody does in the whole company has a dotted line into something to do with the quality of the product or the food safety of the product. So we really feel that we are influential in making that happen, but also allowing people to realise that it's part of their job as well.
Finally, we'll return one last time to Clement Pavie. I asked him what advice he might give to anyone considering a role in the food service industry.
So, first of all, go to catering school. Be interested in the food, be passionate about the food. Is it hard work? Yes, it's hard work, but no more, no less than any other hard work. And then also choose the people you work with and choose the people you work for, okay? If that person is not nice, which more and more happens less, you don't have to work for them. There is another place. And, be passionate about the food, understand the food, learn about it and taste. Oh, travel. One of the things, it's one of the things, you will travel all the way. And the last thing is what my mom told me when I became a chef. She said, at least you will not go hungry. Everywhere you go, you can eat.
How are we going to ensure that in years to come we have new chefs coming into the business, into the industry, with passion and with understanding?
Musgrave takes a very strong approach around making sure that we have chefs for tomorrow, that the students are brought to the right level. So I know Musgrave does sponsor TUD Dublin. In Grangegarman, we actually have the Musgrave MarketPlace restaurant, which is a practical a restaurant where teachers are teaching the students how to cook, but also it's a mix between you've got the kitchen side and then you've got the front of house. So it's like a mini restaurant. But also we do have a good few bursary. Musgrave does sponsor a good few bursaries as well through TUDs and through other schools. So it's really, really important to Musgrave to bring the next generation of chefs and working with current chefs to bring the next generation of chefs on board.
Thanks to everybody who took part in this episode of Growing Good Business. Thanks to you for listening, and if you enjoyed it, please do take a moment to press the follow button. It's right there at the top of your screen if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. And you might also consider telling a colleague, friend or a family member about the show if you think they'll enjoy it too. And make sure to join us on the next episode of Growing Good Business.